RuneScape's economy is going absolutely nuts, and of course in today's video we're going to have a look at some of the things that you may have noticed. Of course, most things have been rising constantly throughout the last few months, and in fact they're at probably the highest that they've ever been. And we've looked at bonds in the past. We were looking at how it all crashed as the start of Fresh Start Worlds happened. And then this massive change in the price of bonds and stuff has also come along. So we're going to cover that in today's video. And of course, I'm very, very interested with how you think about all of the prices of bonds and etc. And if you capitalized on when they crashed back in the day, maybe 6 months ago, and then how they're faring now, looking at about 75 mil for one singular bond. And it's on the increase still at this point. You can see here in the last 6 months a change of 21 million GP. So yeah, massive increase, 40% in fact. So this is not just on bonds but on general items as well. So it's really interesting to take a look and get your opinion as to what you think is happening. And this happens pretty much all of the time throughout RuneScape's history. Of course, stuff does typically inflate because of the game and not having the taxes, etc. Although them coming in shortly is something that, yeah, definitely can hinder the kind of inflation and the massive changes in prices of items that we've seen over the course of RuneScape's history. And even things like the Noxious Staff, you can see, has gone up massively as well. Up to 304 million for this, but probably down to some extra different things that's been going on within the game, of course, and people hyping each of these items up. Of course, I was quite lucky not to have sold mine because I was going to pick up the Inquisitor's Staff, but luckily I didn't. And in fact, it's now at 305 million GP, an increase of 40%, much like the bonds in the last kind of 6 months. And this has been slowly, gradually happening, especially within the last month where it's gone up by 50 mil. And this is absolutely crazy as to what's been going on with the market. And you might think, well, yeah, these are a few items, but what about some of the others? Well, there's tons and tons of just standard items that are being requested all of the time. You can look at, because of the influx of players from Fresh Start World, you can look at some of the Mazcab ability codexes that have also gone crazy as well. I think that over the 6 month period, you saw them rise really high when people obviously were buying into the hype, but, you know, slowly increasing in price, and these will probably only go up even more and more as the time goes on. You can see there was this big spike where people probably went from Fresh Start Worlds are kind of hopping over into the main game maybe after a little bit of time, and obviously people buying the hype, and then they dropped out massively, and then they've slowly been on the rise over the last few months and probably are going to continue to do that as people play. But remember, it is December, so typically everything is more inflated at this time because of all of the new players that are playing over Christmas and with the Christmas holidays and loads more people having more free time to play the game, which obviously generates a more demand for items, etc., which may not typically be supplied. So this is all stuff you have to think about, but you can definitely see it with some random items that are just going up massively. You can even see it with various different bones and stuff like this. You know, it's just typical stuff that are just going crazy, and yeah, it's certainly something that I was definitely surprised about. Even things like the Dragon Mattocks and stuff like this, these have all increased massively, of course, probably down to the fact of, once again, people from Fresh Start Worlds needing them, coming onto the main game going, well, I haven't actually managed to pick up myself one, and of course going from like 20 mil to 35 mil or 36 mil, yeah, it's a massive increase. And if you were a player that had a ton of GP back about 5 months ago, you would have made an absolute fortune if you did decide to actually sell in the hype during this kind of peak period in September, and then bought back in November. Then you would have almost like doubled your money as to what you had originally. So it would have been massive in terms of money making. So these are things that you can take advantage of, and they're not like specific to one thing in RuneScape. This happens all of the time, and this is where I think the market going absolutely nuts is just it is down to the standard things that you could expect. Like, there is nothing absolutely outrageous. Yes, you might find that in one specific instance that there's like one item that gets required by something, and then it's going to go like explosive growth, and you may have made like billions off of it. But often the top players with a ton of money will go for the safe options where they can guarantee something like 20% every single time, and month on month on month on month, and suddenly your one bill turns into 1 trillion much quicker. But of course you do need the cash to begin with, and of course buying a ton of this stuff and having the insight and knowledge of the game cycles as to what is required usually and stuff like that. And yeah, you can make just a ton of money doing that. And yeah, hopefully you guys are too. But it was really a video trying to showcase some of the more expensive things that is going on in RuneScape, and what your opinions on the market. Do you think that it is just outrageous, or do you think that it's going to be something that we'll just have to deal with? Do you think that this is a new level? Is the inflation from Fresh Starter Worlds really coming into effect and just causing these problems? Or do you just think it's a small Christmas time, like kind of, I guess, growth of the markets and stuff like this? I'd be interested to see. Of course, there are things that go down. They're primarily all of the Christmas event items that get released and then they just tank because they're released again. And you can see that with loads of different items in the game, even things like the costume and stuff like that started off with like a ridiculously high price and then they just tank. And see the green Santa hat down by quite a decent chunk, of course being re-released and stuff. And during this event, like just things just go nuts. And these are typically the items that will just get tanked by a lot of the things. But yeah, either way, you know, there's just a ton of stuff that you guys will see on the market. And I just wanted to showcase that, you know, you can take advantage of these. I managed to take advantage of a ton of these stuff going through the roof. I did actually buy into some of the codices right at the beginning, and then they went shooting up and I sold them all. And then, yeah, they're back down and then they are slowly on the rise once again. I did also buy some kind of typical kind of items, things like even ores and stuff like that people are going to require. You know, if you bought them 6 months ago, they're almost double it. Well, they are doubled in price. You can see 108%. So these are all things that, you know, if you had the insight, you could have 100% made an absolute fortune off. And they're all very standard items. You know, Luminite is just a typical mining item. And with Fresh Start Worlds basically ending at this point, yeah, you can see how crazy the amount of money you could have made would have been right now. So I just wanted to make this video, make you guys aware, and of course get your opinions, because ultimately that is what this channel is for, to showcase both the news, some really good money making guides. So stay tuned and actually check out some of the previous ones that we've done, because they're all very relevant, even including the Ripper Demons and stuff like that we looked at. And of course you can see them going up in price now. So yeah, they kind of went flying through the roof 6 months ago during kind of double XP and all of this sort of stuff. And then they've been slowly declining, but they can still be making a killing, especially with the wilderness kind of event as well. And I think Protox actually did a video on that, so go and check out his video if you're interested. But yeah, very interesting time for RuneScape, to say the least. And I'm really hoping you didn't get absolutely shafted with some of the price falls that we've been seeing with the Christmas event stuff. But other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, and also let me know in the comment section down below anything that you think about this. And yeah, I'll be interested to see what you guys think. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.